Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategy is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not in the way that you have known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, let's say about a 30,000 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have any questions, please email Bill at Hasse, that's Bill at BillHaase.com, or reach out to him right here at 216thenet@gmail.com. Play a little bit with Bill today. Law and Financial Order with our good friend Robert Halo. Is that right, Robert?
You got to turn your mic up there a little bit, Kent. We can't hear you.
Oh, I know. I love that loud music. That's why we rock.
And you're a ventriloquist now.
Yeah, I'm able to throw my voice. Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's outstanding.
When we do three different remote locations, it gives away some of my secrets. So.
Yeah, it does, right? Yeah, that's first time that all three of us are coming in remotely.
Yeah.
So appreciate you setting that up and getting us rolling, because we do have a really phenomenal guest today with Robert DiPaolo, who is someone I'm personally working with in my business, and because he has a wonderful mind for bringing together both the financial world and the legal world for small business owners. And there's a lot of things he brings to light that I think most business owners probably never even think about. So let's welcome Robert. Thanks for coming on the show today.
No problem, Bill. It's a pleasure.
So, you and I talk about a lot of different things, but how do you like to represent yourself? How do you tell people who you are, what you do?
By training, I'm an attorney as well as a financial advisor. But the way I like to look at myself is I'm a business-minded financial advisor. And what does that really mean is my focus is on business growth and succession. And when you really look at that, everything starts with the end in mind. Because if you can plan for the end, every other step of the process gets easier, because that's how you're maximizing it along the way.
Very important. I agree with you. With this new business I'm building, we have that 5-year plan and where we want to be, whether we want to do IPO at the end of 5 years or sell the business. But you're right. It makes it easier to put those steps together, as you building it, once you have that end game in mind.
Yes.
But we've got up on the screen, what we got here for you?
So, this is something we'll talk about later on, but when I work with a lot of my clients, a lot of times you'll have the conversations, how's business, how's that? Oh, I'm retiring in 5 years. Oh, I'm bringing on a partner, whatever it might be. There's all these large, hypothetical situations that people talk about, but how prepared are you for it? And one of the things which I give a lot of my clients, a lot of people I talk to, just take a quick assessment. Really understand how prepared your business is for what you're looking to do. Because a lot of people roll up their sleeves, start in their mom's basement, start in their garage, and bubblegum and shoestrings are great to get started, but at some point, you got to make a real foundation and make sure that everything lines up right, because if you don't pay the ounce of pain today, you're going to have a pound of pain later on in life when it comes time to figure out how to unwind it and try to wrap it up the way you want.
I've run into that a lot myself when I work with business owners as an advisor in the past. Many don't understand a succession plan takes years to properly, put it in place so that it actually works. I've met with so many business owners that just said, yeah, I'm just going to sell my business to my employees. And then they find out the employees don't want to buy it, or if you don't get your books in alignment and things set up years in advance, you may not be able to sell. It's what's the percentage? Do you know the percentage of businesses that actually sell? I know it's very low.
Yes. So a lot of businesses either end up shutting their doors or transferring internally, but the percentage of businesses that actually sell are probably 20% or less. Because a lot of times it ends up being an internal transfer, usually ends up being a handover, usually ends up being something. But when we talk about succession and selling, it takes many forms. Because when I talk about people, you have a successful business, Bill. You take on somebody as a partner. you're selling half your business. You're exiting half your business. No matter how you look at it, you're bringing your son into the business, you're bringing your daughter into the business, you're giving up a portion of your equity to them. That's a partial succession. That's a partial exit. If you have two companies that are merging, as much as that's growth, that's also an exit to a degree, because now your equity, your shift in the company is changing. And these are all topics that when people think about it, oh, I'm 30 years old, I'm 40 years old. Why am I thinking about exit planning? Why am I thinking about succession? Why am I thinking about how I'm leaving? Well, you got to leave to grow. You got to keep moving to the next bigger chapter. And as that's happening, it's all the same planning. Or you might have two partners that are different ages. You might have a 50-year-old partner or a 30-year-old partner. If you don't plan today, 10, 15 years from now, when one partner is 45, the other one's going to be 65, 67, how's he retiring out? How are you taking him out? And it's the same thing as if you get married. It's always easier to write the prenup than try to figure out the contentious divorce.
Yeah, I didn't think about that 32 years ago. But anyway, all good, all good. No, so it is important. I mean, a lot of people don't think about that, and I know people that own 20 plus businesses, and how do you keep that all in alignment and you keep that together and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. A lot of people don't understand that owning a business creates opportunities in other areas, in other ways. There's other ways in order to earn income, right? Not just your payroll, but there's other ways.
Totally. And the other thing is, when people are business owners, a lot of them, if you're a W-2 employee, you don't understand this. But when you're a business owner, you realize the power of a Schedule C. You realize the power of having that company paid car, that company paid health insurance, that company perks. And what people forget are, you didn't have that when you didn't own a company. You're not going to have that when you don't own your company anymore. Are you really doing a proper assessment of what you need for your personal needs? And are you doing a proper assessment of your books? Because again, we all go to our accountant, we all go filing our taxes at the end of the year. And one of the initial comments everyone says is, drive it down, drive it down, drive it down. I don't want to pay Uncle Sam. I don't want to pay my taxes.
Right.
Well, there's a pro and a con to that. You didn't pay your taxes today, but fast forward to when you go to sell your business and we take the last 2-3 years financials, your revenue isn't going to look the way it's supposed to look. So are you strategically planning with every stage of your business in mind, not just the past 24 months, not the past 12 months? Maybe we can write down some of the things. Maybe we can press some things down. Maybe we can push some things through the business. But you also have to have a plan of how you're going to normalize that to show the true value when it comes time to do something. And it might not just be selling your business. It might not be valuing it for something else. You might have to go to the bank to get a loan. How many times have you had somebody who owns a business have a problem getting a car, have a problem taking a loan from a bank? Why? Because they did a great job of earning income. They're surviving. Their family's making great money. But on paper, a bank looks at them or a car dealership looks at them and goes, I'm not selling you anything. I'm not trusting you with money. How you paying me back?
You don't have income, yeah. Right. If you're not showing income, it does affect you. And a lot of small business owners, you're absolutely correct. All of them will, it's so common for them to go to their CPA and say, do whatever you got to do, but get me to zero or as close to zero as you can for me paying taxes. And then they go to get that loan. They can't buy that house. They can't buy the car. They can't buy a truck for the business. And they can't sell their business.
Yeah.
Even though they're sitting there going, this is a great business. People, it's worth over $1 million. And all business owners, think that their business is worth more than it really is.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Knowing the value of your business is key also. Because I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a business owner. They think they have a piece of coal, but they just have to crack it open because when they actually do evaluation, actually look, it's a diamond. They have a business that they thought it's worth nothing. They're selling for $1 million, $2 million, which they would have just given away or just hung up and tossed to the curb. Or you have the other business owner who thinks they have a big gold nugget, but it turns out being fool's gold. It looks good on paper. They had a wonderful life, but they're their business. They leave, the business is gone. How transferable is the business? And these are all sorts of things you have to do an assessment of to understand, because If you are your business and it's not something you can sell, you have to plan for your future one way. If your business is a transferable asset, you plan a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Neither is right or wrong, but you have to understand which path you're going down.
Yeah, I do business valuations for folks, and actually, I'm involved in one right now where a husband and wife own the business. The husband wants out; it's time for him to retire. So we're doing a valuation so that the wife can buy him out. So even husband wives, it doesn't have to be just a friend, a partner, or somebody else that you've met and built a business with.
Yeah.
It could be family as well, and then at the same time, then the wife will understand where is she positioned going forward, and she can start making those succession plans as well.
Totally. And the other one, which is another fun one, which I always talk about,
Yeah.
are you watching your team? Everyone looks in the mirror and looks at themselves, but you could be the CEO, you could own the company, you could have everything in line, but you have a 5-year plan of how you're getting out. You have your key management, you have your senior management, you have your senior executives. Are you making sure that if something happens to one of them, you have a plan in place and continuity and backup planning for them? And if they're key and critical to the business, do you have some sort of retention plan, some sort of plan to incentivize them to stay with the company when you're gone? What's stopping your number one salesperson from going to the number one competitor the minute you leave because the person you sold to isn't giving them a better deal and the competitor just doubled their payout?
Oh yeah, and it's funny because I had some clients about 5 years ago getting in the chip business, and they said when they get to the point where they need to hire a salesperson, they're just going to go. In the industry, there was only 5 other companies around the world. They said we're just going to go to the number one sales guy and just pay him double. We'll just steal him. So folks, if you think that there's loyalty out there, be careful because there are sharks as well, and if you have an opportunity to double your income, I think a good large portion of the people will actually take that and run. And you are stuck. There is things like key man insurance that is valuable and important, something to know about. But we also talk about, setting up like a buy-sell agreement,
Yeah.
right, between two partners. Now you know the value in that, and there's different ways to structure that.
Yep.
Obviously, through insurance.
So when I talk to a client, you're getting into one of the top areas. I start from the foundation up. The foundation starts with the owners. Who owns the business? How is that core started? What the cores are, you and your partner are partners. That's great. What agreements do you have with each other? How are things set up? What's your operating agreement say? I've had companies come to me without an operating agreement. Well, why do you need an operating agreement? It's rules of engagement. Who can make decisions? How are they made? How you plan the game? If all of a sudden we're playing football and I don't tell you how long the quarter is, I don't tell you how long the game is, and we're just playing, you may play your heart out thinking that the game's over in 5 minutes. I might play thinking that it's a 2-day marathon, and neither one of us might be right because we don't know the rules of engagement. And when there's disagreement and discourse, that's when the rules of engagement come into play and can sink the entire business over something that could have simply been settled by setting up rules that everyone agreed to in an operating agreement. But from the operating agreement, like you said, you have your partnership agreement, your buy-sell clauses. What are the terms in which something happens that one partner leaves, one partner stays? Maybe your partner gets divorced. Do you want your business getting dragged into his divorce? Are there clauses in your buy-sell agreement which allows you to dilute your partner or have some sort of protection to the business to have the wife not come and start ripping your business apart as part of their divorce? Maybe your partner passes away. You want to make sure you have the proper insurance or proper information in place so that their child, who you may not like, is not your new business partner, that their spouse, who you may not get along with on a business level, is not your new partner. You want to make sure those things are right. Take it a step further. Maybe your partner lost his mind, got into a bad drunk driving car accident, did something that personally destroyed him, that put him in legal trouble. Do you want to have the ability to protect the brand or protect the name of your company by diluting him out to protect the brand because of the damage he could have possibly done? These are all things that people overlook a lot because, I'm a small business. Well, guess what? If you're the wholesome family business and your partner did something that the entire community is against and they don't want to do business with them, don't you want to be able to have the stance to take them out the same way they would want with you? It's a double-edged sword. You're protecting each other by setting a standard of care of what you should be doing to make sure that the business is run right. And that's really the foundation of that buy sell. And when you get into the buy sell, it's also how do you structure it? Do you make the company buy it? Do you have a cross purchase on each other? Do you have a separate entity purchase it? And the right answer is it depends, because what's best for your situation. Anyone who comes in with a cookie cutter answer is just peddling a off the shelf item. It's almost like when I laugh and says, "Oh, who did your documents?" "Oh, I went to Rocket Lawyer. Why do I have to pay an attorney?" I'm just like, you'll find out in a few years.
Well, it just goes to show there's so many different ways a business can fail beyond the ways that we traditionally think. There's just so many other activities that you need to be aware of and take advantage of. And Kent, you've got a great question in here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you go through the same steps with a mom and pop business as you would with a business with, let's say, 80 employees?
So in theory, I follow the same structure, but the steps in between may be different, because people are wearing multiple hats in a mom and pop business. People may need certain cleanup in a mom and pop business because they're not run the same way an 80-person companies run.
Right.
You have a hierarchy, you have delineation, and in an 80-person business, the rank and file bottom level employee might not be important, but the middle level and upper level management under the owners is. A mom and pop business, everyone's important, down to the cashier. You have a family restaurant and your hostess doesn't show up, you got a problem. You have a family restaurant and your chef doesn't show up, you have a problem. So while it might be the same process, the level of focus shifts slightly along with the budget and ability of what people can do.
That's it.
Yeah, and you can get away with a lot more HR issues with a mom and pop shop than you can with an 80 employee
Yes.
company. But it's the way you go about it. I really appreciate, because we've had a number of conversations and we look at, and you do have different ideas. It's not just, okay, go this way, go that way, go this way, go that way. Here are your options. And here are things that you can do. Even with the details of a buy sell agreement, most people think, oh, that's just a term insurance policy, and the reality is again, planning for the future, because a term policy may be only 5, 10, 20 years, right? And you get to the end and that policy is no longer in place. All of a sudden, you're in a situation you don't even know you're in.
Oh, forget it. And you just brought a huge topic, which I talk to all my clients about. You do this planning, you do it right once. It's not a one and done. Your business is a living, breathing entity, and you have to treat it like a child. You don't have a child, put them into kindergarten and say it's done. They have to go through elementary school, they have to go through middle school, they have to go through high school, they have to go through college, they have to go through wherever they're going to go to develop to be a full person. And then there's still development that they do later on. With a business, setting up a buy-sell agreement might be right, the rules might be right, they might be going down the right path, but the value of your business might change, your partners might change, your location might change. You should be constantly reviewing and updating that every 2 to 3 years to make sure it's accurate. Because we might start a business today, it's worth $1 million. We do it exactly right, $500,000 in insurance on you, $500,000 in insurance on me. We're great. Fast forward 5 years. Coverage is still in force, everything's good, but we did a really good job at running our business. Business is now worth $5 million. We go by the valuation clause in the buy-sell agreement. Your wife comes to me and goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, bill passed, but where's my money?" "Oh, here's your $500,000 life insurance policy." "Where's the other $2 million?" "What do you mean?" "Well, based on the calculation, the business is worth $5 now. You're $2 million short."
Mm-hmm.
Oops. I mean, like, those situations catch you off guard. Or my other one is you put the right insurance in place, or you put a little extra buffer. "Oh, we put insurance in place. I didn't want to be bothered with permanent. I didn't want to pay for those 30 years. I was going to be retired in the next 10 years. We don't need more than 10 years. Well, guess what? Something happened in year 11 or 13. That policy's gone, and maybe you're not insurable. Maybe the cost
Right.
as effective as it once was."
So for you two guys, it goes to either one of you. So how often do you visit or revisit that buyout clause, or what I mean?
every 3 years is a must. Every client I have, even if it's a half-hour conversation, let's dust off the documents, let's dust off the valuation. Do things make sense? Are things lining up the way you intended it to be? Because the same thing happens in your personal world. Every 3 to 5 years, you should be checking your will. Every 3 years, you should be checking your operating agreement and your buy-sell agreement to make sure that they're still efficient for your goals.
Yeah, I would check your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance. I mean, you check all these things off. Very important. But tell us a little bit, Robert, about how you work, because I know, right?
Yeah.
We've had conversations and such, and so I know that I can work with you intensely for a short period of time, and then we kind of trail it off, or do we keep,
So I consider myself, while I'm a financial advisor and attorney, I consider myself more of a consultant. And the way I come in is I assess your business, and we can work in many different ways. It can be project-based, or it can be an extended period of time on a subscription basis. So business owners take different ways of dealing with this. Maybe I'm coming in to help you revamp your buy-sell agreement. Maybe I'm coming in to help you fund your buy-sell agreement. Maybe I'm coming in to help you fix a key employee executive bonus type situation. And those are set projects that we work on. We'll figure out solutions and we'll work on that on a project basis.
Yep.
I have other business owners who go, look, there's a lot of things we got to do. I got to work through a lot of different projects. And we set up a subscription-based consulting thing that every month or so we meet so many times and we work through different projects. Maybe it's revamping your operating agreement, buy-sell agreement. Maybe it's starting to talk about your group benefits, your 401k plan, different things that you're doing for employee benefits. And then it might continue into how to acquire and grow your company through acquisition. How am I structuring the deal? What should the terms be? Hey, I have a partner retiring. And each case is different. And again, like I said, I like to custom tailor it, not be off the rack, because no two clients need the same service. No two clients have the same problem. And there's been times I've come in just as a second opinion to say, hey, can I pay you for your time to just look this over to see if we're going the right way? And there's been plenty of times where I was like, you're good. And there's times I've come in and go, this is interesting. Tell me what's going on here. I'll never assume that I'm right. I'll be like, this is interesting. Tell me what's going on here. And they'll tell me a narrative that doesn't match up to.
I will say you ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
You do ask a lot of questions, and I'm sitting here going, what does he need to know that for? You don't need to know that. Yeah. I'm not going to tell him.
Before you answer that, I know we've got a lot of listeners out there just on the radio, and I just want to put it out there. Rob is offering a free business assessment. If you go to Bill Haasse's Facebook page, 216 The Net's Facebook page or YouTube channel, you can pull that out of the comments, or if you want to, you can shoot Bill an email at bill@billhaasse.com and just put in free business assessment in the in the subject, and we'll make sure we send you that link. Or you can shoot an email to 216thenet@gmail.com as well, and just put free business assessment in the subject, and we'll shoot you that link as well to help you get to that free assessment. So,
yeah, it's a great it's a great thing to just get an idea of some of the things you need to be thinking about as a business owner that we don't normally think about.
There's tons of them.
You think you're a two-man shop, it's not a big deal, right? You don't have it's not that complicated. I don't need to think about these things. Yeah. But the reality is if you want to be a 3, 5, 10, 50, 100-man business, you need to start thinking about it when you're that one-man and two-man business, and get your head on straight, because you said it. An ounce of work today saves a pound of pain tomorrow.
Well, is it?
Sorry about that.
No, I was just going to say, is the reason people don't do that is because they're just naive? They don't know. It's not built into their business plan.
I think part of it goes to, we're not trained on this.
Right.
So the entrepreneur is great. They're hungry. They learn how to do something. If we look in school, if we go to where things are trained, we're trained in a lot of ivory tower fundamentals, but we're not trained in business basics. It's the same way we're not trained in personal finance basics. How many people
Yeah.
graduate high school and can't balance a checkbook? I talk to business owners who have no clue that they should be using QuickBooks. I talk to people who have wonderful construction companies. Hey, where are your books? What do you mean? I just give all my invoices to my accountant. Well, do you know what he's doing? Do you understand who's controlling
Well,
your
Robert, as a business owner, all I need to know is this is where I started. This is what I spent. This is what I did, and this is what I have left over. What more do I need to know?
Oh,
I either made money or I lost money. That's
Yeah.
What do you
I
mean
mean,
management sheets and financial sheets?
And the funny part is, even if you break it down to the most basic things, I have a small construction company. I have a crew of about 10 guys. It's me and my son. There's a bunch of people. Well, guess what? You got 2 daughters too. All of a sudden, your son took over your family business, and you're like, oh, he just took it over. Well, you gave him something. It's an asset.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, fast forward to the day you pass away, your son has this flourishing construction business that he took from 10 employees to 20, and he's living a nice life. You pass away, your will says, I give everything to my children equally, a third, a third, a third.
Yeah.
He's taking a third of whatever is left, and his 2 sisters are going, what the hell just happened?
And there comes the lawsuits.
It comes to contention. It comes into the no more family Thanksgivings. That's why I always tell people, especially with a family business, part of what I do is psychology and like therapy, because I tell people, if you really want to be equal to your kids, your family business has to be treated as a separate standalone asset. And if you're going to equalize it, we do a state equalization on the transfer of the business when your son's taking over. He got an asset today that was worth $750,000. You have 2 other kids. Great. The business is going to pay for a life insurance policy for $750,000 equal to each other kid. So if you have 2 kids, that's $1.5 million. You got the business for free, but you got to make sure your sisters get what they need to get also. And then you equalize it that way. Now, all of a sudden, whatever happens with the rest of your assets, it's clean and it's simple, because if he blew up the business, it was on him. If he scaled it to infinity, it's on him. At the point in time when it was given to him, everyone was treated equal. People forget to look at when things happen. They look 10 years in the future, 10 years in the past, and they always forget that moment in time when things should be looked at.
Yeah, well, we call that life happens, and it does. And it does tear families apart. I've seen it, and I've got a neighbor. His mother passed away 2 weeks after she had turned the business over to one of her sons. The other son had left 10 years earlier to start his own business because he didn't like what was going on there. And he built his up. So when mom passed, she had no will, no nothing. So here comes the son that left 10 years ago, pissed off at the family. And the son running the business says, I'll pay you your 25% because there's 4 kids. And he's like, no, I want the whole thing. So he's been in probate for years. Just because it's simple things, not even having a will, even something as simple as that. And, people don't understand. And business owners, you're right. We're not trained. Nobody taught anybody how to go from a concept to building a business up to 500 employees, to going from 50,000 a year to, 10 million a year. We're not taught that. So, we emphasize on this show, you need to seek help from people who are professionals and very, very good at what they do, but you need to be able to understand who those people are. Because as you pointed out, somebody might just pull stuff off the shelf and say, here, this is what you do for that, and this is what you do. And they don't really care about putting a whole package together. We deal with that with portfolios, right? People don't understand. They think portfolio, it's all investments. No, it's investments and insurance. You need to balance things out. But and this is where I've come to you, Robert, because I've met several folks in the industry. Obviously, I've been in the financial world 37 plus years, but finding somebody like you is like finding a gem and saying, okay, because you have this mindset, the whole picture, right? And that the different scenarios require different tactics.
Oh, totally. And here's one of the biggest problems. When we're going to sell a business, if you're going to a business broker, if you're going to an investment bank, if you're going to an M&A firm and you're on that level and you're selling to the open market, there's usually attorneys and people in that space that help you very well. And those people will guide you and kind of clean up the path. And even there's sometimes you make little tweaks to make it a little bit better. But here comes the problem. You have the family business. You have the small business that you're giving it to your key employee, and you might be financing it yourself with a seller's note. Most of the time, they're not going to a big corporate attorney. They're not going to some M&A firm who's structuring a deal. They're going to Joe, general attorney, who does your will, who does your real estate, who does everything under the sun, and knows enough of everything to be dangerous. And while he might write a legally sound seller's note, while he might write a legally sound purchase and sale agreement, here's where the problem comes in. He's not thinking about how to structure it. Your accountant isn't getting involved in how to structure it, because now here's what happens. Your employee, who you loved so dear, is buying your business. You did a seller's note. You're forgetting the fact that now he has to personally take income from the business, get taxed on it, take that post-tax money, pay you on your seller's note for your business that he bought. You're getting taxed on that side. So you're setting up an inefficient structure for double taxation, where if you had the right partners, you come in and say, hey, you know what? We're going to sell the business for X. We're going to discount Y off it because we're going to put a defined benefit plan. We're going to put some consulting agreement. We're going to put some sort of asset in place that's going to pay you directly from the business. Eliminate the double taxation, possibly gross you up a little bit for the difference in what you may have to pay extra in tax because it might be ordinary income versus cap gains, but it's still becoming cheaper than the business owner paying ordinary income and you paying cap gains, because that's the most inefficient structure, but most common structure because it's the least pain. And this is where having the right team and the right structure and the right components together, even on a not so large transaction, can be the difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So, and let me point out, folks who are listening and watching in today, if some of this stuff is things you don't understand or haven't heard of before, that's good news, because you need to learn and know about this. And again, you could jump in and take that assessment, and that'll help you get wrap your mind a little bit more around some of the things you need to be thinking about and some of the tactics you should be looking at going forward. Because, yeah, I mean, some people don't even understand. Can an LLC, can they buy a company car? Is it, or do you have to be an S corp? Do you have to be a C corp? A lot of people think, oh, be a C corp, don't you have to have 200 employees or more? Lots of basic, simple questions that we don't all know about. That again, go to a professional, but we can't always know whether that professional is, the right person, right? Is somebody who is as knowledgeable as you are. I can find a number of advisors out there that say they work with business owners, but all they really do is a buy-sell agreement, sell a term insurance. That's not really working with the business owner. No. You've got to find the right people, and that's not easy to do.
No.
We don't run that circle. I made the mistake of, in a networking group one time, I said, I'm looking for a contract lawyer. Well, at time, I did not realize that, because I don't know anything about law. That's my real weakness. And what I did learn was every lawyer, the first semester in law school is contracts. So every lawyer, their brother will tell you that I do contracts. I had more lawyers coming after me than Adam and Eve had snakes after them. But it blew my mind, and I just said, okay, I'm looking for somebody that's what they do, not somebody who does that also.
Oh, really? I mean, one of the big areas where that comes up a lot, bringing it back to like the business owner, how many times, especially with these tech startups and all these companies, equity, everyone wants equity in the company. Well, you start giving away equity in your company to employees and to other people, before you know it, you got somebody else telling you how to run your business because they have minority interests, they have minority protections, they have different things which all of a sudden might change the landscape and topography of your business. So when I talk to people, I go, don't tell me a product, don't tell me a solution, tell me what the problem is. Tell me what your desired solution is. Tell me what we're looking to accomplish. And by laying out the facts it's going to describe how we find the solution. Because I might talk to you and say, hey, why do you want to give employees equity? Oh, I want them to share in profits. I want them to have an upside. I want them to have certain things. Okay, great. Maybe there's a stay bonus. Maybe there's a change of ownership bonus. Maybe there's phantom equity. Maybe there's synthetic equity. There's tons of ways you can do it without giving up actual shares in your company, because before you know it, Bill has 2 shares. This person has 5 shares. All of a sudden, they conglomerate and come together. They own 20% of your company, 15, 20% of your company. All of a sudden, you got a problem. They can make noise and they could cause issues for you on certain topics, especially if you go to Rocket Lawyer, one of these places, and put one of these generic operating agreements in place. Some of the decisions might need a supermajority, might need whatever it might be. And if they break one of those thresholds, all of a sudden, they hold you in limbo. They could really mess things up.
Wow.
Yeah, a simple thing like profit sharing. Let's just say I have a good year and I want to profit share. I want to give everybody a piece and thank them for doing a good job. But then you sit there and go, okay, how do we figure out who gets what?
Yep. And especially if you do it in a formal structure, now you get back into the HR issues of how do you do it without being considered discrimination? How do you do it by people? How do you classify people? John and Joe.
Well, because my daughter, I would give her, a really big profit sharing bonus, and then, a non-family member, I might not give as much.
Yeah, but
right?
I've seen this also where you got John and Joe who are classified as the same level of job, different departments. All of a sudden, why did Joe get 3x the bonus of John? You could have an employee discrimination. So you could have so many different issues that even though it's not your intention or maybe how you did it, you have to be very clear and very structured in how you do all those things.
Yeah. The other thing that's important, and we've got Rob DiPaolo with us this morning on the show, is the attorney doesn't necessarily have to be in your same town, right? I mean, you operate, I believe, out of New York,
yes.
But if you can get that guidance from somebody, and just listening, I can feel your passion. So I'm curious on what drove you to this area of expertise. Did you have entrepreneurs in your family? Were you an entrepreneur?
So my path to how I got here is an interesting one. So I started out in undergrad, always thinking I wanted to be in finance. Blew through my undergrad, got through it early, and I'm like, hey, you know what? The sooner I graduate, the sooner I'm hitting the real world, the sooner I'm making money. That entrepreneurial mindset that, hey, let's go crazy. Well, graduated college at 20 years old, went to my parents, I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm heading to New York. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, grad school or law school? And as I started doing my evaluation and assessment, I'm going, if I go for my MBA, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower. You become this specialist in this much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm 20 years old. I don't know what I want to do yet. I'm like, in my mind, going, so if I go down this path and I go, all of a sudden I'm getting a specialty. And as I get more and more into a topic, it's going to get really granular. I'm like, I don't know if I want to take that shot and really go down the trajectory that keeps getting narrower. I'm like, if I go to law school, I could become a litigator. I could do contract law. I could do this. I could do a state. I'm like, there's probably like 8 or 9 paths I could go. Gives me more time to figure out my runway. I'm like, let me go the way that has more avenues. So taking my business background, went to law school, went through all that, and really like corporate, so like the finance stuff, really saw that tie in. I had the wonderful opportunity of graduating law school in 2008.
Good timing.
Yes. Oh,
Really?
Perfect timing. Come on.
Truly.
The world is perfect. So I had this expansive legal knowledge. I had this expansive business knowledge, and no one was hiring. No one wanted to do anything. I'm looking at the wall going, this is going to be fun, because law firms are downsizing. People that were in A firms are going to B firms. B firms are going to suburban firms, and everyone's just scrambling to keep a job in 2008. But the one thing I kept noticing was people were asking about know your client, know your this, all these compliance type roles and all these different things. I'm like, okay, there's money there. There's different things to do. So I took my finance background and legal background, kind of went towards that a little bit. Realized back-end office work sucks. No one likes a compliance officer. No one likes the guy making the rules.
I love playing with compliance officers.
If you do your job right, the employees hate you. If you're lax and help out the employees, the owner hates you. So no matter what, someone is at your door.
You're lucky. It's more black and white nowadays. Is you ask for permission. I mean, I came up in the trading pits where we always ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
With compliance folks, and then hence we learned how to play that game. But so I enjoy that game with compliance folks. But it's.
So I realized like that compliance and back end world, you always got somebody at your door hating you. It's either the employees, it's the owner. I'm like, you know what? That wasn't really my world, not where I wanted to be. Kind of got more back into markets, started picking up, everything got back more into the transactional equities. Saw the writing on the wall that transactional equities were a dying breed, that everything was going more towards advice, more towards a structure and a plan. Eased my way out of that. Went to the institutional side, worked some hedge fund work, and realized that I wasn't really the best in the hedge fund world, and that institutional world really wasn't for me. Stumbled into the insurance world like everyone else. I feel like no one goes into their career saying, I want to sell insurance.
So true.
Stumbled into the insurance.
But you get your license and everybody wants you.
Yeah.
Every insurance company, right?
That's right.
All you got to do is get your license. And
stumbled into the insurance world. I'm like, okay, I can make a living here. Realized the company that I landed with was very similar to the transactional equity world. I go, they're pitching product again. This is going to die. People don't want to buy product. There's going to be computers to sell products. There's going to be other ways to do this that people don't want to be sold a product. People want to be sold a solution. Yes. So I'm like, this is going to go. And now I was getting ready to reinvent myself and found the firm I'm currently with for the past 7.5 years. And I go, I don't want to be transactional. I don't want to do all this stuff. I'm like, I want to actually plan. I want to do different things and really get my sleeves rolled up. Started doing it on the personal side, doing some really nice, comprehensive personal planning. But we slowly found out that a lot of these business owners, a lot of these individuals were business owners. And on their balance sheets was this asset. Because now, Bill, you're a personal financial planner. Other people are personal financial planners. You talk to somebody, oh, what do you have? What's your assets? What's in the bank? What's in your stock account? What's this? Oh, great. Oh, you own a business. What's it worth? Oh, $7 million. Great. Retirement comes. We do our whole plan. We have everything mapped out. Oh, what happened to your business? Oh, I sold it for $2 million. Womp, womp, womp. All of a sudden, you're like $5 million off in your retirement projections. Or you transferred it to your son. And now all of a sudden, that asset, which you thought you were going to monetize in retirement, was gone. And we're like, we got to get
you're happy you invested in ramen noodles.
Yeah. And we were talking about, we got to really find out a solution of how to fix or evaluate for our personal planning side business assets. So it started out as evaluating business assets, how to carry them on the books, how to really look at them from a personal planning standpoint. I started peeling the onion. And it's almost like finding that one loose thread on the sweater. It went deeper and deeper and deeper. And next thing I know, I'm like neck deep. And I'm like, this is a world where there's so many issues, so many problems, and so many people that are glazing over it. Yeah. And when I started getting into business planning and exit planning, people are like, you're doing what? Like, what? You're a business broker now? I'm like, no. And now all of a sudden, fast forward 4.5, almost 5 years that we've had this division, it's funny that now everyone on the street is popping up and putting up, I could do business planning, I could do succession planning, because when you look, I think it's 80% of businesses are classified as small businesses in the US. I think 70 to 80% of them are owned by people who are north of 50 years old. So in the next 10 years, a majority of the businesses in America that are classified as small businesses are transitioning. And people who are more that transactional, more of that go get them, I sell, whatever it is, mindset are now using this as a sales tactic and as a pitch versus an actual area of planning. It's like, what's the hot topic of the day? Oh, I sell equities. Oh, I sell insurance. Oh, I sell annuities. Well, you're pitching a product. Oh, I do business planning services now. Great. What's your experience? How many companies have you helped? How much experience do you have with ERISA plans, non-qualified plans? What do you do for this situation? How many buy-sell agreements have you reviewed? And they're like, you just see their eyes go, Wait, what are you
I don't
talking
even
about?
know what you're talking about.
It's like I just want to sell life insurance, or I just wanted to take over the 401k, and it's like, well, you're not business planning, you're just selling a financial product that falls within the business planning realm, and you're using this as almost like a teaser to grab somebody in to sell your product.
Yeah.
Which is why I always tell people, be very cautious with the advisors you pick. There are many great advisors out there, and just because someone says they do something, ask the follow-up question. How many people have you helped in this area?
Always, Robert. I mean, one of my pet peeves in the industry is that there are certain companies out there that all they do is the investment side, but they'll tell you they do the insurance side, or vice versa, and and they'll tell you that they do both things and they can handle everything, and they don't. That's not what they do, and they don't do it well. And you can really, if you're a person out there you've got a financial advisor for investing, you've got an insurance guy, you've got a CPA, you've got a lawyer, you got all these 4 people and maybe more, and they're not talking to each other. How do you think things are going to go, later on in life? It's probably not well, because it's not coordinated.
Yeah.
You really have to have it. And the same thing in business. You have to have things coordinated for your plans for going 1 year, 3 year, 5 years out. I don't believe in going much more than 5 years out, because I don't think any plan more than 5 years out is even close to what's really going to happen.
And it's the thing with like budgets. I tell people, if you're setting a budget now that you think you're going to live on, you're setting yourself up for failure, because it's going to change. It's like flying a plane. I use this example a lot when I first heard it. Once a plane takes off, 99% of the time, it's off course. They're constantly readjusting to stay on course, because the winds change, things change, and you're always shifting, and you always have to shift back to try to find what optimal is. The same thing's true with your business. You know where you want to go. You're constantly shifting course to try to find the optimal way to get there. Tax laws might change. Presidencies, policies,
regulations, all kinds of things.
Changes. Today, we have a very high estate tax limit. That might not be the case in 2025. Right now, we have very pro-business tax structures. That might not be the case in 2 to 3 years.
Well, look what's happening with interest rates.
Things change.
Yeah, I mean, you were planning on borrowing X amount of dollars each year or whatever, but you were thinking I was always going to be able to borrow at 2.5% or 3%, and now it's 8%. There's 7%, and you didn't account for that.
And people's realities are very different. You take somebody who's 40, 50 years old, they've seen the rocky markets up and down, up and down, up and down. You take somebody sub 33, they've never seen a bad market. They've never seen the negative. They've never seen the downside. Oh, why do I need something other than a robo-investor? What could possibly go wrong? How can this happen? What do these things look like? Like, we've been blessed for the past 10 years or so to have a very good, flourishing economy. As much as we complain about things have been excellent.
Well, grab a seat, because you're in the front row, because you're going to learn. You're going to learn very soon. And I was thinking about that, Robert, when you said 2008, and I'm like, this guy's never seen a down market.
Well, yeah, I've seen 2008. Well, I saw 2008 because, again, I was out of undergrad and everything else by that point. But
yeah, but you didn't feel the pain that many of us felt for 20 years of 30 years of having a 401k just get destroyed, and things and people losing their homes right and left.
Yep.
Unprecedented. We're heading in a similar direction.
And we're heading to a very correcting time. That things are going to go up and down in different areas. But you need advisors, you need a team that understands how to shift these things.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm going to go rent 5 properties and I'm going to turn them to Airbnbs and I'm going to be rich. Come on, that's what TikTok told me. Oh, I could buy a house and I'm going to put everything in my name and I have 5 properties and I'm making all this money. But John Smith got killed by a drunk driver in front of my house who said it was my fault because the light was out, and now all of a sudden I got sued. No one told me that asset should have been in a LLC. No one told me I should have had umbrella insurance. No one told me how to run a business like a business, because TikTok just told me buy properties, do this. And like I tell people, there's 1,000,001 businesses. You need the proper team to run your business the same way you need the proper team to run your personal finances. And more often than not, they shouldn't be the same. you should have conflicting voices. There's a reason why we have three areas of our government, because there has to be checks and balances. You should always have checks and balances. Like I even look at high-end clients of mine, clients that are classified as high net worth, ultra high net worth. They don't have a singular advisor. They have a team of advisors. They might have 2, 3, 4 different
absolutely
advisors that are classified as financial advisors. Why? Because they want to hear different viewpoints. They want to hear different opinions. Because at some point, they're each going to be right. And if they're always wrong, that advisor is probably going to be gone soon, and they'll find another advisor. If you rely on one voice, they might be right 70% of the time. That 30% of the time they're not. You don't want to pay the bill.
Yeah, when I was a broker in the pits, we used to say, weathermen get paid $1 million a year, and they only have to be right, once a year. They can be wrong. They can be wrong every time. As brokers in the pit, we have to be right at least 51% of the time to hopefully retain our clients, so that they're making money. But it's there's just so many different things about starting and building a business that even I can say I don't know, and I'm building a massive business right now, and you're well aware of it because we're in pretty heavy conversations about it. But even if this were just a small, we have 5+ million people who left their jobs last year, started a business. We have over 2.2 million, and probably much higher than that now this year, these are registered businesses, LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, that have registered. And there's one of the biggest things I try to do in this show is bring amazing people like you on it to help them understand this is not an easy thing to do. Just starting a business is not easy. There's much more work, much more thought that has to go into it than simply saying, I got a widget and I got Kent over here who's got a factory and he's going to make the widget for me. He's my buddy. He's going to do it dirt cheap. And I'm going to get out there in the market and I'm going to sell the hell out of this thing. And we're both going to get rich. And it just doesn't work that way.
And by the way, it worked, but it doesn't work that way either the other way also, because now you get somebody. Kent hit it out of the park. Kent caught lightning in a bottle. Kent might be the top real estate salesperson, whatever job it is, that he's a 1099 employee. Well, that's great. If he doesn't understand that he's a business owner and that he should be treating himself like a business, there's a problem. They know about deductions, they know about certain things, but do they know how to plan for retirement? Do they know,
right,
as a solopreneur or an independent contractor, there's different privileges available to you in retirement planning? Because you're like, I opened an IRA, it's $6,000, but I'm making $750,000 a year. What's $6,000 a year towards retirement planning? Well, guess what? If you opened a solo 401k or a SEP IRA, we could put away 60. Well, 60 is a better number than 6.
Yeah.
But that still isn't, how long am I going to have to work to get that $750,000 a year that I'm living on? And now all of a sudden we start talking, we go, defined benefit plan. And now all of a sudden that qualified pre-tax money that you put away goes from 6 to 60 to, depending on your age, could be $100,000, $200,000 a year. And just having the right people who can explain the right stuff to you.
Yep. I'm going to interrupt real quick because you're listening to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hussey. We've got Robert DiPaolo on with us, and he is an attorney. The best thing is, for all you business owners out there, Bill and Robert have set up that there's a free business assessment that you're offering. It's scrolling across the bottom. If you are out there listening and you're not clicked into the social media where Bill is flashing the link up there right now, just send Bill at bill@billhussey.com an email and just say free business assessment in the subject line, or shoot it here to 216thenet@gmail.com. and put free business assessment in there as well. We'll make sure that you get that free assessment. And this is a tool that you use, Rob, and kind of what does it do?
So it's really a layman's term questionnaire. It basically asks you questions, and based on how you answer the questions, other questions might pop up. And what it does is it assesses where your business is and where you want to be. Yeah. And even if you're in an early stage business, it's going to ask questions about, hey, what are your plans for exit? What's your plan 5, 10 years in the future? And you're like, well, why are you asking me that? Because again, how we set the foundation is determined on the trajectory we want to take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get through this year.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like the startup mindset, I just got to survive. I got to make income. Yeah, I gotta break from the black into the red. I mean, to the right and from the red into the black.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but we get wrapped up, right? We get so wrapped up in our business and in the minutia of it, we forget maybe how do we take money out? How do we instead of reinvesting in our business or something? But we get wrapped up in the minutia, like our costs are skyrocketing now, inflation is hitting us, and how do I adjust to that? Interest rates have gone up. How do I adjust to that? Regulatory changes may be coming along. How do I adjust to that? Oh, now I'm going global. And we get wrapped up in the minutia of our business, and we forget that we still have to stand back there and look at the bigger picture, and you got to keep your eye on that.
Yeah, and the timing, you guys, for the show is impeccable. Here we are at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, where a lot of businesses are setting up for 2023, and with the volatility, as you're saying, Bill, is there. And there's a lot of businesses as well who are like, oh my gosh, I've made a little bit of money. Is it time to go spend it on a truck or whatever? Using this assessment at this point in the year is brilliant and can really set you up for a strong 2023 and beyond.
Yeah.
It is. I agree. I'm sure Robert agrees, but since it's his assessment, but absolutely. Again, take the time to look at the bigger picture and to find people like Robert who can really put your mind at ease. Okay, this is part of being a business owner is trying to reduce stress, right?
And part of the assessment is it's identifying gaps. It might not be financial, it might not be legal, it might be looking at things and say, hey, I have an HR problem. Well, we see you have no HR policies, you have no employee handbook, you have no employee contracts. That might be a glaring issue that comes out of the assessment. It might be you have no employee planning, no employee retention plan, no employee setup in that front. It might be that you have no foundational agreement with your partners. You have no goal of what your personal goals are with the company. And it just assesses to see where those gaps potentially are and where we have to shore them up to make your business the best it can be.
Another quick question is, we're seeing now, Shark Tank's a big deal, and you're seeing people like Bill Hussey, hey, I'll give you, $500,000 for 10% of your business or something like that. So now Bill owns percentages of several businesses, and as somebody comes after Bill, they can go essentially after my business if Bill owns a piece of it too, or no?
So depends on how things are held. And I always say assets should be held and managed in a very strategic format. Mm-hmm. So to me, assets, businesses should all be held. Again, it really depends on the situation, but things should be structured right for your situation. Things should be assessed. So if somebody like Bill owned multiple businesses, he should have a business management company. He should have something that has all his businesses tentacled out. Because to me, what I tell people is, you don't want assets, especially business assets, in your personal name. How they're held has to be assessed based on what the situation is. Like I might look at a business and you have OpCo, which is the operating company. You have a management company. You have a real estate holding company. You have an equipment leasing company. Yeah. You have 4 entities that intertwine to make one business. Why? Because if something happens with the equipment, if something happens to the operating business, you don't want them stealing your equipment or your property if you own it. You don't want them taking those assets.
Interesting, yeah.
You want to shift assets. Maybe you have a management company because you want to shift assets and there's different things you want to do, and you want to plan differently for its owners and different people that you have to shift apart. Now, again, there's rules, there's different things that come up with that because there's control groups, there's brother, sister companies, and different rules and certain things that you have to be careful with. But as you set this up, things tentacle out. Like if you look at somebody who owns rental properties, more often than not, they have a real estate management company, and each individual property is owned in its own LLC. Why? because there's purposes to that. There's purposes to why every structure is done, and there's no right or wrong reason. It's having the right team, explaining the facts, and developing the solution that fits your needs.
And given this information, we're down to like 10 seconds, I think, here. But I hope all our listeners and people watching out there can understand and get a picture of how important this aspect is to any size business, any stage of your business. Get a hold of Robert. Take this assessment.
Yeah.
Get your mind in the right frame, because look, if you're looking for a big year next year, set yourself up.
Yeah.
Set yourself up for success. So,
That's right.
Robert, we can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing all your genius and knowledge.
It's a pleasure.
It's why I love having the conversations with you, and I look forward to many more going forward.
That's it. For all of us here at 216 The Net, this has been Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. Thanks for getting caught in the net, folks. And until we see you again, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.